Adam does. Let's look at the bans and see where we will and will not be playing.
And we can confirm now that ZZ will be replacing Acid as he has
Mm-hmm.
joined the lobby, so ZZ will be replacing one starting member of Noble Acid, and it'll be interesting to see how he fits on that team because Acid has not been a slouch. He's been performing pretty well for the team, but if ZZ's a better fit, then that's a good upgrade to make.
So I actually got to talk to Noble about that, Crazy specifically, and
Right.
he was talking about how, yeah, he recognizes Acid's been playing really well, and Acid is on a sub role now. He has been rotated off. He's still part of the team technically, from my understanding, but they wanted ZZ because they wanted someone to support the team, to give that, that backbone, and, make a little bit more of the support type plays. And again, we don't normally see that. It's hard to really identify, but I think that from my understanding, he's been doing well in the squad,
Right.
and having that different role is helping out Noble. Now here we go, Oregon, the map that we get to play.
So, I mean, there's something to be said for making roster changes, right? Gurmy started, speaking of this particular matchup in particular, Gurmy Wormy, who's long been a core of this team, started the season as one of the members of Obey. They subbed him out for Benji. They've had Benji playing supporting roles. Tweets from all of his teammates have been singing Benji's praises on how much of an impact he's played on this team, and they've put in a great performance since picking him up. SK Gaming dropped Evil Waffle, who, for all signs, pointed to him being a great addition to the roster, to pick up Nyx, who has also done quite well. So just because somebody has a lot of value on your team doesn't mean you can't make those changes. And I said it ages ago, teams that go through Challenger League typically work one way. You'll drop somebody, you'll finish top 2 in Challenger League, you'll qualify possibly for Pro League, drop somebody else to elevate yourself up. You know where loyalty gets you at that point? It doesn't get you into Pro League, and it certainly doesn't get you into the top 4, which I'm sure we're going to hopefully see both of these teams gunning for, and I guess for a team that's in second place, making them even better, it's pretty scary.
So, community vote time. Who do you think is going to win? Looks like it's going to be a close one. 36 to Noble, 64 to Obey. And I think that's due to Obey's most recent performance in those qualifiers.
It's got to be.
It's got to be, because if you take a look at the actual leaderboard in Pro League, this is the opposite of what you would expect it to be.
Right, and I mean, the only time that Noble hasn't walked away with a victory so far this season was against Cloud9. They're rivals formerly from Challenger League that both of them qualified, and they were able to draw. So, will Noble get its first loss of the season? Will Obey get their first win of the season? One of these things will happen unless we draw. We'll load in to Oregon, which is where we will be competing, to see. Now, Oregon has been a map that Obey have performed very, very well on. We saw them play it a number of times in the qualifiers over the last week, and they as a team have been really sharpening their knives and getting prepared to take on incredibly strong opposition. Noble will get the first ban, though. They'll go with an attacker, probably Hibana, I would imagine, maybe an IQ, but they'll take Thatcher out. Interestingly enough, that is Adam's starting role on attack. Almost every single round that we have seen Obey Alliance play on Oregon, Adam is running the Thatcher.
So I am seeing right now the Thatcher being counter, so allowing for a mute play potentially, much more easy in that main lobby drop down. However, I expect as well a counter mute ban possibly right here from Obey, and yeah, there it is. There's the
Smart,
mute ban.
very smart.
Yeah, once you see that Thatcher gone on Oregon, the mute needs to follow quickly, or you're giving a huge edge to the defenders.
Now, it also means with the mute ban coming up and a Ying being banned out from Obey, it means that we're going to have both hard breachers available for us, which is going to enable both a construction rush, a construction push, a meeting push, a front lobby push. It's not going to have as much of an impact necessarily on that second floor bomb site up in kids' dorms, but it will certainly be a major difference maker for defending downstairs in Laundry. However, it does appear that for the time being, there might be a bit of an interesting start to this matchup, and that is Noble currently have tower and rear stage locked in.
What?
And that's where we're going to begin.
Yeah. This is a bit of an oddity. Could it be, Parker, that we see an even weirder map than the one, or match rather, well, I guess both, than the one just prior?
You didn't think it possible, but here we are. And also, important to note, with Maestro being banned, we not only have both hard breachers, but no Mira being banned as well. How peculiar to see the bans go down this way? Could it have possibly been counter bans directly impacting both of these teams rather than just overall utility-based bans to try and shape the way that the match will play? At a loss for words, you are.
It's an odd sight to see as your primary, let alone as your third. I mean, okay, so if you're wondering, if you're watching right now, you're not familiar with Oregon, you're not familiar with CG Sports, Tower is considered by many to be the least defensible, if not second to least defensible site from this map. It's really not an easy hold, and the reason is the attackers can so easily isolate it and clamp down on it. So as the defenders, you're forced to extend yourself over into West. But the problem there is that there's such an easy and accessible bottleneck for the attackers from that main lobby to cut off the meeting hall. It's really quite easy. And you can see that on that note, Noble is doing their best to reinforce that bottleneck with castle barricades and just normal reinforcements on the walls. And they're also going to be roaming pretty heavily downstairs. I don't know. I like I guess I recognize the setup from Noble. I appreciate their attempt at Tower. I don't know how it's going to work for them. So we'll see as this round continues to play out. But Obey are going to be primarily clearing from the west side, as you can see. And that makes a lot of sense. If you've got west side control, then the tower is about the farthest thing from it. It's hard for the defenders to rotate back into it.
And look at this. Because there is no mute or no Thatcher available, this is going to be a very strong position for Yeti right here, as he can bandit trick that attic wall, and it'll push Obey into a position where they're probably going to have to either take from outside onto that small window that looks into attic, or possibly try to fight through meeting hall. Very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So it could have been a bit of an outplay there from in terms of the bans from Noble. So they could have, you think when you see the Thatcher that, oh, they're going to mute play downstairs.
Right.
But now we see the lack of the Thatcher is actually intended to assist their tower hold by allowing full control over attic. Now that Obey can't get attic, it's going to be a lot harder for them to take on this site.
I don't think they were prepared at all for this one single bit. And you can see, and a minute and a half has been expended. And if I'm Obey, I'm not really that confident in what we've done. You managed to take out the front castle. You've now also gotten that rear tower, or that rear stage and back tower Mira.
Skies is going to open up a lot of angles using that hammer onto the castle barricades, and Heavy's use of the castles have been effectively nullified, but ZZ from above, the newest player just added to the roster, will get my man a very long angle.
This is reuniting ZZ and Breezy as well from their time on Beast Coast, who are now known as Cloud9. So interesting to see if there's any developed synergy between these two players, as they are used to playing with one another. But this is very much Yeti's system. This is the way that Noble likes to play. And you can see that there's a reason why they've been playing this well. Yeti from above will take out Skies, even though the phone calls will ring, expecting a peek onto the Bandit. And Yeti will now manage to make his way to the back of the tower and the back of attic. However, deceivingly so, we have 20 seconds left, and Lion will get popped. Bosco in a position to leap right in. He's going to jump in. Adam and Bosco adding to the fray. 3 kills apiece. Crazy will rotate down the stairs. He'll get pressured, but 2 great kills as Crazy and Breezy will leave Benji last alive. The Dokkaebi will try to run up the stairs, but awaiting the push is Crazy, and Noble will take round number 1. If I'm Obey, oh boy, not a great start for Obey, but mind you, probably not expecting that to be the site. You can write it off as just simply Noble being able to beat them on the site selection. Now we'll see how well these two teams do on the more conventional sites of dorms or laundry room.
You know, Parker...
But...
What?
But they have a kitchen lined up for...
Oh, boy. So I wanted to actually note on this. Because of the operator ban phase, we're seeing the conventional be not that important any longer, it seems, in the way these matches play out. I mean, look at the way SK has been playing. They banned Thermite almost all of these the matches they've been playing, and when there's no Thermite, the other team almost always is disjointed and unsure of how they're going to attack. And they're planning on that. SK plans on that. And Noble banning out Thatcher, a beautiful sidestep there, because, again, it's going to... anyone thinks when a Thatcher's gone, that Noble's expecting to use Mute to defend the basement. But no, Noble has organized around the lack of a Thatcher 2 different defensive strategies on the alt sites that you just don't normally see on Oregon. And they've completely sidestepped the expectations of Obey. The operator ban phase allowing for such a huge play. And all that said, and we've always known how deep the operator ban phase is. I have to give major props to Noble specifically for utilizing the depths of that new feature.
If I'm Obey, the moment I find out that this is the site that they're going to, my thought is, and I can hear Bosco say these words. He goes, "What are these guys doing?"
5 seconds remaining.
As now a second unconventional site, and you're absolutely right about the mute ban. We could possibly see Noble forego a defense downstairs in Laundry Supply Room if the rotation works in their favor. If they win here, might go up to kids' dorms and then just completely bypass having to go to that bottom site. Now, statistically, both tower as well as kitchen are not sites that defenders should particularly thrive on. They are almost objectively weaker sites.
Yeah.
Yet, if Noble can pull this out, it'll be interesting to see if there's any change in the way that people play Oregon because, I mean, heck, one possible great defense could make all the difference in seeing viability on different sites on this map.
Yeah, definitely got to give props to Obey for being this much of a pioneer team. It's worked out for them in the first round, but they're going to have to make it work out continuing forward as Obey starts moving their way into the indestructible wall, as we like to call it. It gives you a full cover, and there's not a lot that Noble's going to be able to do to deny the defuse plant once it eventually gets there. Maestro is banned, so that's not an option. Echo is on the board, and there is a Smoke as well, who can play the mirror window inside of Kitchen. So tools in hand for Noble, but they're going to have to use them just perfectly.
I like the way that Obey is setting this up, and I actually am a firm believer that this is going to be, right now, a quick push for Obey to be able to get in and get that diffuser down. Now, mind you, they're going to have to try to figure out exactly where the yokai drones are. That's going to be incumbent upon Skies to do that, but you can see Heavy repositioning that yokai, and will use that lion to try and keep everybody down, but Yeti gets a kill onto Benji, and you can see as another smoke is going to go off as well. That planter trying so hard, but in vain right now, and once again, boop, as Bosco will be knocked into the plant animation. Adam, who has gone onto the Lion from his typical Thatcher role, will get breezy, but Yeti pushes up quite aggressively. He'll try to get the planter down. A big round from Yeti. That's 3 kills for him, but my man is there. Heavy, oh no, a team kill. That's a gift to Obey for the time being. At least for the moment, they still have the yokais potentially up. The man will put down a claymore to cut off a rotation into that small tower. Skies will need to work his way back towards the site, and the diffuser being down, you can see the yokai has it firmly trained, but it's my man taking out ZZ, and the yokai is going to be the biggest difference maker for the time being.
So, just the echo of Heavy. Nade coming to stop him from pushing. And an attempted plant from a man, although he comes off it to hold the angle. Skies in the hallway, wins the fight, and Heavy won't even get into the 1v1. Obey take that round, although it was a lot closer than you would expect it to be.
That team kill was a big factor in having that happen the way it did. I don't know if it was a possible reset. I don't know if it was just simply a bad cross from somebody, but that communication and those errors are unforgivable when rounds are this close. And that was a round that Noble could have possibly managed to win out after they got those first 2 picks. I like the way, like I said, I like the way that Obey was being able to push in through small tower. I liked what they had at their disposal. Though, here's one thing that I've seen about Obey that I really need to focus on. And I know that when we were doing the qualifiers, people were a bit critical. The way that Obey plays Skies' IQ, they do not really use him for primary gadget detection. They keep him on flank watch, holding the rear. Now, I understand why you would put somebody like Skies, who is a great shot, and can waltz right in and kill a bunch of people, as we saw him do the last time on Oregon in the qualifiers. But why do you have your IQ doing that? You need that IQ to be there, to pinpoint the way that a defense has their sights set up. You need it to find those yokai drones, because Obey's push almost completely fell apart because those 2 yokai drones were not being found. So I'm not certain why exactly Obey does this. I understand, like I said, why Skies is on flank watch. That's totally okay. But the operator as an IQ, losing out on those potential frags, and the gadget, I don't know.
I guess I would agree with you. there's some amount of information IQ can gather from a pretty large distance, but still, you're right. It's not the perfect role for that position. Regardless of it, Skies fills it pretty well, and he does get a lot of kills from the role that his team has placed him on. However, there's some other options available that could possibly give Obey an even greater edge. Now, regardless of that, they did get the round, and you have to give them credit for that. The way that they attacked from the tower and the bathroom gave them a good crossfire onto the defenders, allowing for a solid hold. And as you saw, when Noble went for the retake to try and deny the defuse plant, they were mostly successful, but it was at a steep cost in terms of warm bodies.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, there's a couple things for Noble that you can pinpoint down there. I like the way that Obey approached it. I like the way that Noble was able to hold it off too. It was a great effort from both of the teams, and I think the team kill was ultimately that real.
Probably.
That was a huge factor in it. Now, Obey have isolated a single member of the defense playing at the top of Armory Stairs. It's ZZ. He will get droned. He's been marked previously. Benji as the Dokkaebi lying prone by the main door, looking towards the top of Armory Stairs, possibly going for the kill, but ZZ has gone all the way around to the top of White Stairs, which is going to allow Obey to get all of that ground back. But Noble is invested quite heavily downstairs. This is not out of the ordinary for dorms. You've got both Jaeger as well as Bandit inside a kitchen or thereabouts that will need to be discovered, especially if that Bandit is running a C4 of Yeti, because there's a Valkyrie on the board, and that information can be crucial in stopping the plant from going down in the final seconds.
Yeah, you can see that the entirety of the Obey strategy is master take, and they do have flank hold for the main lobby, so if Heavy tries to come from below for the C4, he might get torn asunder. However, there's always a way to wiggle your way into Classroom, and if he's able to do that, that C4 is still going to be viable to deny the plant on Generator. Now, Skies is also, like you said, he's on that odd angle. He's playing over by tower to try and cut off rotation from the defenders. But what I'm seeing from Obey right now is honestly just a lot of hovering. They have inched their way into the building, and they've got what they need to start a push onto Generator, but they don't actually seem committed to that push into Generator. And I think they're maybe just hovering, looking for kills, and they're not able to get them because Noble's playing smart and safe.
Now Skies will work his way up to the top of the tower. He'll shoot out the window that looks into Generator, and finally will pull out his gadget, but is in a position where he can't take out that Valkyrie camera without having to drop, so he will repel at some point. I like the way that you said that they were hovering or loitering, because Noble is looking like they are going to be well placed to stop the rush that is going to happen as, there you go, logic bombs go off, Sophia concussive bolts go off. 1C4 will not get anything. Breezy his first kill. Benji working his magic. Heavy is also down, so it's a 5v3, but Yeti and Crazy will dive right in. Yeti with a double. He's so good in this matchup. ZZ will end up getting the kill, and last alive is Skies. He'll win. He'll take ZZ down, but there's still 3 to go. Same amount of seconds, and Yeti will finish him off. A big 3K from Yeti, and Skies, once again, just a little too far off for his team to do much with. Could have been a couple seconds more on the pace, holding that flank wedge a little too long. The rest of his team, they got consumed by Noble's defense. Right into the Thresher they went, and Noble will retake the lead.
So the reason, in case you're wondering, the justification of IQ being on the flank watch and being the off role is that he can rotate back to the fight quickly. He's a 3-speed. He can, get back into the engagement. It was a little bit late there, but any other operator would have been just in no position to get back if they had started moving when Skies had started moving.
Right.
Now, no, I say any other operator's speed. And that's kind of the point I'm getting at, is you can do that with other ops like Ashe, for example, who I would say is more justified in that role, or even I might even, Ashe. I would do it on Ashe. If I'm gonna have an operator who's gonna be sitting off, not doing much other than just, waiting for a potential flank, it's gonna be Ashe, because she can explosively, quite literally and figuratively, use her utility to whatever means you're trying to have that utility be useful, and then go on the flank watch, and then she's still influencing the round. Whereas an IQ far afield, I mean, not doing much.
The problem with bringing in Ashe that we've seen many teams address is the fact that IQ at least has a great gadget. The problem is that IQ's gadget is really not being used. We saw this in their matchup against SK. We saw this in their matchup against Obey. The gadget that IQ has is incredibly powerful for not just figuring out where roamers might be, but then also on marking the site. Obey is not getting the same mileage out of the IQ gadget. And I think that hurts them because, in an essence, you've now seen two pushes where Obey looks like they're going in a little blind as to where goo mines could be, as to where the yokais are. What can solve that? Well, a Thatcher can. You don't have a Thatcher. All right. A Twitch can solve that. You're not running a Twitch. All right. An IQ can solve that, but you're not using her that way.
Yeah, it's better to just fill a small cup rather than grab a larger cup that you're not going to be able to fill up all the way. And it's kind of just lost utility.
And it's a bit of a shame, really, because Skies probably has some of the best aim in North America. He's a great reflex player. He's able to get kills when he needs to. And yeah, I think that the biggest problem that he has is that he's being passive, and the impact, the frags that he's gotten so far, not exactly high impact.
So focus on the tower here for both teams. Noble trying to hold on to it. Yeti very passive in his angle, using the Gersmot against his sister of the Zofia. So lots of utility lost here as they're going to recover from those Gersmots a lot quicker. Heavy setting up the shot, but cannot land it just yet. He's going to do, I think, a little bit of damage, but at the MP7 at that distance, oh so very little. Yeti gets aggressive on the angle. He's waiting for his opportunity, but from behind, he will be forced off the window. You can see it's just a really bad pinch here for the Ella as she gets pressured from both angles.
Skies below. Benji will finally manage to dispatch the Ella, and they've gotten control of tower, but it took them 90 seconds. You can see that Maman had sustained some damage as he was on rappel, as has Benji, almost completely dead, just hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Skies underneath was at the back tower, so this is possession of that back tower, and we are on the 4th site in 4 rounds. Hasn't really been noted yet, but for those of you that can't see, we're looking at defending downstairs in the laundry supply room. So Noble is running the gamut right now in terms of every single site. The mirror will get popped inside of that pantry wall and give the ability for the defenders to see into kitchen, and it's going to be crazy moving to the pantry to possibly play into the meeting hall. A reset for Benji will cap things off as we hit our final minute.
There hasn't been a lot to happen other than tower control. Breezy's going to try and contest Harry Potter, but it's an odd angle, that's for sure. He's going to be happy he didn't die trying to challenge it. It's difficult not to from that cubby in the hallway. Smoke is a good candidate to hold on to that, though, as we come down to the last 30 seconds. This is a deceptively slow round. We've seen that a lot, actually, in this matchup, and it's going to repeat yet again.
And the only thing that happened so far is the tower push. But Meeting Hall has been secured by Obey, looking to try to get Skies into blue. Maman expecting a flank. He'll pull out his launcher. The Jaeger will come in. Skies needs himself. What are you doing, Skies? Maman manages to take out Crazy. So an advantage still in favor of Obey despite their team kill. The Valkyrie around the corner. A misplay from the smoke. Breezy missing it. ZZ a big double, making his presence known. But time will run out. ZZ, the star of the show in that round and the newest member to Noble, putting in the work he needs to give his team an even bigger lead. Obey trailing 3-1.
What is going on? That last round was just... okay, so we had a hyper delayed push. It took about a minute or 2 minutes 30 for the attack to actually start going towards the site.
Yes.
They put too much emphasis on that tower. It took way too long to get Yeti out of the top of tower. And then from there, as soon as they did get the control they needed, they just lingered. And we've seen that from Obey time and time again. A lot of really slow rounds. And it's not working out for them. This is not the typical Obey. This is something different from what we're used to seeing from them as well. I don't remember them being this timid. Now, it will probably help them on defense when they get to it, but if they end the first half in a 4-1, then it's going to be hard for Obey to recover.
Yeah, and I mean, you're seeing the defenders win with lots of utility available and lots of opportunity available for the attackers to take hold of these sites. Keep in mind, usually when we see Oregon either leaning heavily towards the defense or heavily towards the attack, it's because the operator bans have made it so. I look at the current bans of Thatcher Ying, Mutant Maestro, and I mean, I gotta say, like, I understand that it might favor the defenders here, but I think it could potentially be a wash, especially with a team like Obey Alliance, who like to load up on fragging operators and not always necessarily bring smokes, or not always necessarily bring an abundance of frag grenades.
Barricade up!
Yeah, and Obey, I mean, they've not been using the utility that they do have in hand all that adeptly so far. So even what they do bring hasn't been that useful. And I think that's a big part of the story. You know, if we had Obey in that previous round, bait out some of the gas canisters from smoke a little bit earlier in the round,
right,
and, you know, put themselves in a less danger close situation where, yeah, if we don't push now, we're screwed, then they wouldn't have had to deal with a lot of the counter utility from the defenders. You know, you gotta play the angles. You gotta expect what is oh so predictable, which is, yeah, a smoke being played to delay your push in the last 30 seconds, and you have to play around that. But it's just not been happening so far. Now, Noble, similar to what we've been seeing, in the last time they defended tower, are going to have Bandit on that attic, and that is going to allow them so much control. This attic control has actually allowed them to pressure Meeting Hall quite a lot in the later parts of the round, and because, again, there's no Thatcher, there's no drone hole for the Twitch drone to potentially go through. There is no Twitch in this round, but you know what I'm talking about. There is no way for the Bandit batteries to be dealt with until Meeting Hall control is already established for the attackers.
So lots of layers for Obey to cut through here, and a multifaceted defense for Noble. I am actually a little surprised today with how little Mira has been banned, only in one of the 3 matches, how little Twitch we've seen. It's been a bit surprising because usually their pick rates tend to work with one another. Of course, Twitch is only really picked, I think last season she was around 40-some-odd%, sitting somewhere in the 6th to 8th range in terms of most picked attack operator. But when there's a Mira off the board, her pick rate plummets. Still, it's been interesting to note how little she's been used, especially also knowing that there's a Bandit too with Bandit batteries. Lots of gadgetry for a Twitch to be able to get.
There's a Bandit, there's a Mira, and Thatcher's banned. This is where you pick Twitch.
I mean, they've got the IQ, but as was noted, the IQ is not really using her gadget in the way that would be a possible substitute for them.
Twitch is a great flank watching option.
Also true.
You use her utility and it's mobile. So
and you can stay on flank watch while also being on the receiving end of the push. And speaking of, once again, a very slow starter here. What has Obey really accomplished? Well, they're struggling to get control of attic. At the moment, Sky's priming a frag grenade, looking to try to take care of that attic wall. We'll get it. So the frag grenades will be used to open up the attic wall, but is it too little, too late? Obey will have to drone in and try to figure out where they need to come from because all of Noble have fallen off. They've now started to coalesce around the B site and holding the stairs and angles. Watching a possible rotate through the basement sits the Lion. So you've got Adam on flank watch right now, which is a good place for the Lion to be because, once again, his gadget can work all over the map. And here it goes. Speaking of the gadget, Skies is just going to jump right in. Crazy is there. He'll pick up his second, but my man will also jump in. It's a 5v2. Way off site is Heavy. He'll need to get back as quickly as he can. He'll run up. You can see one down. That's Breezy. Skies will pick up his 3rd kill, and Heavy will need to get one. But Breezy smokes. Skies will pick up a big 4K. And those are high-impact, valuable frags as Skies jumps right in, locks off the site. And this is how I wish Obey was using Skies more, because this is what he's capable of when he's not flank watching.
Yeah, stick him in the fray. Just throw him. Just throw him in the breach, and he will see results. And that's exactly what we just witnessed. You know, it was a situation where Noble had that round. It was done. It was over. But yet again, similar to some rounds in the past, they weren't paying enough attention to that window right next to the attic. And Skies was allowed to simply vault through it and get that 4K like you talked about. You need to be able to clamp down on that stuff. It's interesting, too, because we had 3 defenders in a position where they could potentially hold that push from the IQ, but none of them were. None of them expected it. And that, to me, is confusing as all heck. Now, Laundry Room Supply Room will be the first site defended by Obey. So they're going for a much, much more typical defensive strategy, or defensive setup, at least, as compared to what we saw from Noble.
Well, what is Obey going to be able to do on defense? Without an Echo ban, we've seen Benji play the Echo on quite a number of occasions. In fact, most of the time, that's where we see Benji excelling. And part of Benji's impact on this team, for those that are unaware, has been on a purely support-oriented position. Now, not only is he giving good drone calls, not only is he helping pinpoint where things are, but on defense, focusing on the Echo play to deny the plant. He's also using those 2 yokai drones in a mobile fashion in order to give that information to his team. He received praise after the Paris qualifiers from his team, saying that it wouldn't be possible for them to be able to get as many frags as they did without Benji being there to give them that information. And that's something that often goes unstated, and in time, I think people are going to start to see a greater amount of value in what you can bring to the table simply from droning and being there with the rest of your team. So the Echo will be somebody to keep an eye on as Obey starts their defense downstairs in laundry and supply room.
Now, Yeti unsure if he can open up this window. There are no defenders on the other side, but of course he does not know that, so he will wait for the call from his teammates and go for eventually opening up the window. And that will give tower control now to Noble. There's no contention here from Obey. They have completely forfeited tower, which, but they will at least be prompted to the push from Noble. So once you know it's coming from tower, you can adjust your defense accordingly. And Obey will obviously be privy to that, and they will focus on it now, holding on to as much as they can that tower side of the building, the north side. E1D gonna deny the push from Adam, but he's not actually looking to come out of Harry Potter right now, just waiting nice and snug. He'll fall back eventually, all the way to the site. This defense from Obey right now is super passive. We haven't seen them contend any of the control that Noble has established, and they are falling, in fact, all the way back to the site, stacking up extremely heavily. You can see 4 players in close proximity to this construction push.
And assembling themselves, seeing that there's a soft wall as well in blue. They'll be able to take control of it, but what happens when the wall is soft? Well, you can shoot through it. A lot of times that will happen with exothermic charges. Sometimes you might see a team leave a wall soft, so they can take out that exothermic charge with 1 bullet. Instead, they look like they only shot 1 or 2 of the X-Kairos. Still, it was just a window in that they were trying to look through. They only shot 1, so there you go. Perfectly opened up and allowing the Capitao a long angle to possibly see somebody playing over by the back of supply.
Now, ZZ, first kill of the round. Adam eliminated. And first kill of the round, 2 minutes in, onto a defender. You really do need that since the momentum hasn't really been set all that well from the attackers. However, it's been much more efficient and much more aggressive than what we were seeing from Obey in the previous half. We also have a downed man in the site, and he will finally be finished off by Heavy. Benji responds onto Heavy, however, so no more Lion. Yeti on the main stairs, going to be trying to flank this push, and Crazy, wow, losing that fight to Bosco. What a shot from the smoke. I don't know, falling apart at the seams as they attempt this push. ZZ sees Bosco just outside of box. Knows there's 2 players in that position, goes for the spray and misses. He will die. 2 Skies pushing around aggressively. A double kill for Skies, denying the plant, and Bosco to back him up. Obey will take the round in a very, very close fight.
Bosco and Skies there working together to maintain that any push that was happening would be shut down no matter what the clock said. Noble not doing their best job of time management. You could see that as the push was happening, Yeti was positioned upstairs, still trying to watch for a possible rotate. It also looked like the Twitch player also upstairs watching the open hatch, but there was no coverage. You could see that with how I guess how careful Obey were playing in and around the bomb site, by the back of supply and by the closet, they weren't really trying to peek any avenues and played really, really safe. And by playing safe, they lasted till the end of the round, able to get the kills. Noble losing the first round on attack.
Right off the bat, you're right. Noble were really slow in that round. But also, they were a little bit faster than Obey. And I think in this match, from both teams, we've been seeing a lot of slow attacks. And Noble still has time to show us a little bit more aggression, to show us a little bit more conviction on their actual clear, because that's what's seemingly lacking. We had a situation where Obey wasn't fighting at all to hold on to tower, and it still took a solid 2 minutes before the actual site push started. And then even then, the eventual push for the defuse plant was at 30 seconds. So Noble, more efficient than Obey, but still not nearly efficient enough. We've got to manage that time better. As Obey goes up to the top floor, we will see a continuation of the conventional from their defense. None of that tower kitchen nonsense. But I don't know. I think while you can go to these sites and they do work. It does show a little bit more initiative, and again, ingenuity is a good word to use to describe it, from Noble, that they went the extra mile to change things, to mix it up, to give themselves an edge. And of course, the operator ban phase being so directly, correlated with that.
You see the castle barricade being used to try to hold off anybody from getting easy access to the bottom of White Stairs. As the site is upstairs in dorms, Yeti will have to expend one of his grenades in order to open that vantage point up. Crazy on the Twitch, so there we go. We speculated as to why a Twitch wouldn't be available. Well, here we are in a position now where a Twitch drone can be particularly vital. ZZ will go for the drone to try and draw the attention out, but Crazy will just miss his shot ever so slightly, and Adam will now push back to get a bigger angle onto that Twitch drone when it tries to drive right in. But he'll lose it. Adam not quick enough on the trigger. He'll have to fall off of that mirror that was being played in Kitchen, giving him a line of sight all the way into the rest of that staff area. So interestingly enough, or the dining hall or mess hall as you want to call it.
Cafeteria.
Cafeteria, all the different calls for it. Will mean
Eat place?
Adam, eat place. It is indeed in the eat food place, the eat place, and now Adam will move back. And it's also allowed Yeti to be able to get this really inventive angle, which we've seen a couple times as he lays prone through the open mirror window. And I like what Heavy is doing. We're focusing really on the way that Noble is orchestrating this push, and Heavy is looking through the tiny holes that have been opened up by the caliber, or the bullets rather, of the glass to make sure that nobody can possibly rotate through that big window.
Yeti looking for the nade onto the player who's anchoring in B. He will miss. Not any damage done to Bosco. And Obey going to be happy about that. Noble, yet again, very slow on the uptake. But Yeti will at least disable the top of White Stairs as an anchor position. So good job there from the Buck. There are a lot of roamers, though, in close proximity. At any moment, he could be completely exposed. No one there to support him, and just exactly that's going to happen. Adam will get the frag as he inches his way into Kitchen from the meeting hall. Obey having a successful roam, that's for certain. Last 43 seconds, and we're seeing more of the same slow.
And the thing with Adam was it looked like he absorbed one shot of that skeleton key, but not enough, as the skeleton key obviously is not usually used as a killing machine,
right,
but more as a tool, a can opener of sorts to open up situations where need be. You can tell that Noble is feeling the pressure, and the time running out means that they will have to hurry quite a bit. Breezy will get the kill on the Bosco. That was the smoke being felled, but Adam, still on the roam, will take out his second, find another target. The Glass of Heavy will get down, but plant for ZZ going off. Sky's managing to finish off Heavy. Crazy on White Stairs in a great position. Diffuser goes down. Last man standing is Crazy. He'll get the low impact frag onto Benji, and Adam is there. Starts things, finish things. 3 kills for Adam. Obey locking this down and looking even better on defense than they did on attack. Mind you, they did lose attack to Noble, but still, they'll tie 2 together, 3, technically, if you go all the way back to when they were on attack. Obey's in good position to be able to finish this one out.
Yeah, and this is just as we predicted earlier when Noble were the ones defending. Obey's playstyle doesn't really work on attack, at least in this match. Their playstyle that they've been showing us in this match doesn't really work on attack, where you're just really slow and you're not able to take that initiative. But on defense, it can actually give you a lot of advantage if the other team is playing the same way. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Noble showing us, I guess, signs of what we saw from Obey on the previous half. And it's almost like we're watching the same team, but switched up now. It's kind of interesting. But Kitchen Dining Hall, the site of choice for Obey as they go to their third. They are forced to either here or tower, given that they have had such great success on defense.
Probably not as comfortable, I would imagine, with the odd sites as we saw Noble be. I mean, mind you, the second tower defense did go in favor of Obey because the way to attack tower is, and I've said this many times, typically the way to attack tower is one of 2 things will happen. Either you'll push really, really early, or you'll push right as the round is about to end. That's the way that Obey did it. You know, we said they almost languished. Spent about 2.5 minutes organizing themselves, making sure that they were lined up for the push, and then just literally springing into action. So there was a call to arms from the IGL of Obey, and Noble crumpled. Now, as for a Kitchen push, we've said it time and time again, your push is likely going to involve you taking control of dorms from above, because that entire floor/ceiling is destructible, making sure that the bodies that are down in kitchen, that's the B site, are as uncomfortable as humanly possible, and very likely getting a plant off in A by that destructible wall, as you noted. The good counters, other than a C4 and a smoke, will be your Echo drone or a Maestro camera. If you look, Obey has 3 of those 4. They're only lacking the Maestro, and that's, of course, because Maestro is banned out. So, Obey has a lot of opportunity at this moment to try to stop a plant, depending on how it goes, but Noble have got the smokes and the grenades, as well as a Lion available at their disposal. So, lots of utility on both sides of the field.
Good kit either way. Noble going to go for the typical junk tower take. Now, this is usually the attack of choice for anyone pushing onto kitchen. The reason being, it's so easy for the attackers to isolate junk tower. Once they have junk tower, it becomes a good beachhead for them to start their assault. They also can get control over the showers and lockers. Now, there is Bosco, I believe, in a position to try and stop that. Yeti will catch him if he attempts to rotate on this rappel, and the nade will be the one to try and push him out. But the Jaeger ADS will catch the nade, so Noble fixated on getting in this control. The reason you want to get control over lockers / showers is, of course, because it applies or crossfire to either team that has it. So if the attackers have it, they can crossfire and deny the counter push, and if the defenders have it, they can deny the plant outright in the first place. So it's a very important position, and one that Bosco is trying to hold on to as best as he can.
An immediate difference you can see. Breezy is on the front lines, using his grenades to possibly take out barbed wire or even utility. He's got his gadget out to know and assist his team on where they're going to go. They're getting a plant off. The one Lion gadget will be used. The Glaz holding a covering angle. The C4 will connect. The Thermite is down, and immediately Breezy will get tagged in. Skies, though, right now, Army crawling his way across. The Bandit, at the moment, could potentially strike here. He'll pop right up. A big double kill from Skies. He bursts into action, and it's going to leave just Crazy and Yeti. Skies going for a third. He'll get it down, but can't clean up. He sees one. Crazy will dispatch Adam. Skies looking to put together another, but no, Crazy will outduel him, and that means Yeti is in a position to possibly be picked up as well. As I say that, the man will jump out, get the kill. The last Lion gadget will go from Crazy, but you gotta think he's swinging in the wind, and that's exactly what happens, or twisting in the wind, rather. Bosco will be Obey's closer here with the SMG-11. And match point for Obey, who've fired up the engines after losing the first round. They've really come alive here.
And
Skies.
Skies in that round, individually pushing through the cafeteria all the way to the front line and using the attacker's smoke to his advantage. A very impressive play from him. And I think, you know, as much as we were critiquing the operator selection earlier of Obey, putting Skies onto IQ and sticking him on flank watch, I do think that individually he has been performing out of his mind in this match. In a lot of his positioning, his gunplay, it's really been, well, on point. There's no other way to put it. And kind of a breath of fresh air, considering, again, we've talked about this a couple times, you know, on him being on this roster, he seems to really just fit.
Both Adam and Skies have been tremendous in terms of what they can bring to the table in terms of raw skill. Benji as well, but like I said, more of a communication style thing. I have no doubts that Benji could probably frag well if they put him on that role. I mean, even right now, he's technically seated in second on that scoreboard. Yeah, I mean, he's competing with the rest of them, but there is quite a bit of a difference between both where Benji sits and Skies. And it was actually Skies who gave praise to Benji on Twitter, saying that at least half of his kills, if I recall correctly, it might have been a third of his kills, were not possible without Benji's assistance. So big ups to the newest member of Obey, and Noble could possibly face their first defeat. Now, Space Station Gaming, who were undefeated, they got theirs today. What about Noble? Are they up next? Well, Obey Alliance, searching for their first win, are within striking distance. Just under 3 minutes to go on match point. Could possibly see the blue and black colors of Obey Alliance being able to finally get their first victory in their 4th week.
And you know, Noble, having made that very slight roster change of, well, I say slight, that pretty monstrously huge roster change of Acid onto ZZ, even though, you know, they've been saying he's been doing well and he fits the role that they need a little bit better, you know, being that support player, it's still an abrupt change to make in the middle of your season, and it will it will put you in a predicament where you have to kind of relearn your roles. And it's probably a big reason as to why they're struggling so much in this match. However, Obey, on the other hand, really woke up mostly when they went on to the second half. I think the big story here is defense-sided, and Obey especially favoring the defense. Now, Noble trying to isolate these roamers, and for the most part, they've been successful in that endeavor. They have now a good amount of control on the west side, but Obey still has power, and as much as they're going to try and get that control in their favor, Noble are going to have to take a lot of time to do just that. There's also Meeting Hall still to contend with.
So, look at Noble. A bit of a faster pace. They've got the Glaz right now looking like he's on that flank watch. In that position where he can look through the doorway, possibly try to catch anybody that bothers to push up through tower. One grenade will get tossed out to just open up a bit of that wall towards the mirror window, and Heavy will get one of the smoke grenades off as a gas canister will answer. ZZ going for a plant just right in the open, but there is, of course, Benji's Yokai drone, and it should have no problem knocking ZZ out of it, and of course, he will take some damage from the smoke grenade. Now, it also looks like Breezy is missing out on the possible Yokai. I don't think he hit it, which is strange because it was right in front of him. Airmail from a man, and that's ZZ down.
Second C4 will miss, though. Obey still holding onto this counter utility. Noble goes for another plant. Heavy able to cover with a kill onto Bosco. Breezy sticking it, and it looks like he will be successful in that attempt. Crazy also gets Adam holding from above. Crazy gets a second one onto my man. He's going to have a great job in that main lobby. Skies, though, doing Skies things and getting a kill onto Breezy, fighting back. As Benji pushes up to the main lobby, he will down a player whether he knows it or not. Yeti will eventually shut him down, though, and Sky's trying to stick it, will not have enough time. Yeti will shut him down, and Noble take the round against my expectation.
It did seem like there was a bit of uncertainty as to whether Noble would walk away with the victory in that round or not. Doesn't really matter. We are on the very final round. So for Obey, at least they won't be walking away with a loss. They will guarantee a point on the board. They were able to do that last round or 2 rounds ago when they picked up their 5th win. Noble, of course, will fight for that draw. That's the best outcome that Noble can have. And hey, like I said, could Obey find their first win? Could Noble find their first loss? The only thing that can possibly stop that is a draw, and here we are. Dorms is going to be the scene of the crime as round 10 about to get underway. Reveal phase, a good lineup at the moment for Noble to bring what they need to. A Lion and a Glaz are always usually a good combo on Dorms. Skies flexing off onto the Ella. No Echo will be available this time around, so they'll likely be playing a pretty typical Dorms defense. You'll have the mirror window inside of Kids, you'll likely have the smoke play on White, and then you'll hope that your roam game can buy you enough time when that wave crashes against your site, unless you kill them before they get there.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
So, 3 minutes, 40 seconds left in this match, no matter the result. Skies on 13 kills, Yeti on 10. Some standout performers, that's for sure, from both teams. Obey defending the top floor. They will also extend themselves downstairs, as is typical, bringing that Mira, who has been left unbanned in this match. An interesting change of pace as compared to the usual. And this is all the end of the match, no matter what. I like the holes that are being set up by Obey. Some pretty standard stuff, but could potentially give them a slight edge. I don't remember the last time I saw an attacker actually fall victim to one of those holes that's opened up from the top floor, though. It's very uncommon these days because usually people are aware of it. I mean, this one right here is really powerful, the one that's being highlighted underneath the west window, because you can hold the white stairs from it.
Yes.
And that's probably the most influential of all of them.
But it also goes the other way. We've seen
Right.
a lot of defenders try to peek that with somebody waiting at the bottom of white stairs, especially if you have the numbers to stick somebody there and not worry about their possible influence on the actual overall site push.
Right, and then we say that about everything really in Siege. It's not about the defenders setting up layers and layers for the attackers to pick through. It's about playing those angles from both sides and playing them efficiently, and they do always go both ways.
The real question for me is, how is Noble going to be able to maneuver its chess pieces? So they're likely going to try to take that generator closet wall and use that with some
A bomb has been located.
likely push along with the buck underneath, and then you'll have the Hibana work her way in there. Probably have the glass situated on the big window, as is pretty standard. The Lion will likely also cover generator, but it actually doesn't look like there's anybody right now from Noble that's going to be facing that big window, and certainly nobody over by small tower. They're all currently assembled by the big tower in the rear stage.
Yeah, and also they haven't been bringing a Thermite. He's not
Attackers have
banned
located
in
a
this
bomb.
match, unless I wrote this ban phase
You were
down
very correct.
incorrectly.
It's a Thatcher and a Ying that are banned.
And you're bringing a Hibana when you know you're probably going to be attacking the top floor, and you're dealing with this. I mean, that's a very small hole to work with. It effectively is a bottleneck, and it sometimes can work against the attackers. So you're costing yourself just a little bit of potential utility, and it's you know, in your pick phase, you could change that.
The only major benefit that I can see a Hibana bringing to a closet wall push is that because that hole is so small in comparison to an exothermic charges hole from the Thermite, Adam will get the first kill. Benji, the roaming Mira, will get a kill now too, and that is going to be a 5v3 in favor of Obey. I think Noble realizes they have to get aggressive here, and Heavy will be rewarded by that by dispatching Bosco, and he'll go for a second, but Benji, playing at the top of White Stairs, will answer back. Yeti is inside right now of Kids Dorms, though. He'll take down Adam before getting shocked by that shock wire. Crazy looking to try to figure out where that Mira is. Crazy will tag himself to try to draw out the Mira. Excellent job. Sky's trying to get back to sight. It's Yeti last alive. He gets Diffuser down, but Obey can possibly double up on him. The Buck situated right now, playing by the desk in the middle of Big Dorms. He'll throw a frag grenade down. It will get eaten by the ADS. He's very careful to make sure that nobody pushes up White Stairs. Sky's below. Yeti right now circling, trying to figure out where they can be. My man is currently in Generator. Sky's working his way up White Stairs. They could possibly fight for a trade-off here. Yeti will get my man, looks for Skies, but no! Sky's the clutch and will guarantee Obey the victory. So close for Noble to get a point out of this one, but their winning streak and their point streak will end at 3 weeks. A good closeout, and honestly, a great game overall from Obey to stretch the lead when they need to, and then finish it out. Despite getting really close from Noble, Obey will find their first victory of the season.
Now, say what you will about the support player, say what you will about the information gathering, and Skies took full use of all of that, but as an individual, some of the plays that he made were just amazing. I mean, in that last round there, the clutch, you know, he's refragging, he's playing off the bait, and it worked out for him, and that's to be expected. But, you know, so many other things to highlight. The bandit push through cafeteria to disable the attack entirely, coming around the long angle and catching the attackers off guard. But overall, just, yeah, great individual round from him, or map, I guess, from him, and allowing the victory 6-4.
Good play across the board from Obey as well. I was very impressed with the way that they were using a variety of operators on different pushes and different holds, especially with Benji getting very aggressive and taking a chance on that first frag before being able to get back to White Stairs.